Now it's that time in the Oklahoma Memo podcast where we let our hair down. We could talk some sports. And this is my Bedlam Bud. This is my condolences. This is my buddy Jeremy. This is Bedlam Buds. And we're coming up on the weekend. There's a lot going on. So let's start with your Oklahoma State Cowboys. They're in Tucson, Arizona for the first time since 2012. What's going to happen this weekend? Do the Cowboys stand a chance to win?
Yeah, actually, the Cowboys do stand a chance to win. Arizona has been a real Jekyll and Hyde type of team. They have had a couple of really good games and a couple of really bad games. And so the problem is it's in Arizona. If this were in Stillwater, I would actually be predicting an Oklahoma State win. But being in Arizona, it's going to be a lot tougher. But again, they showed signs of life last week. And if they can continue that upward trend, the Cowboys have a real shot this weekend.
When I'm looking at that game, I like the over. I don't know what the over-under is, but I just feel like this is going to be one of those games where both teams are at least in the 30s.
Well, I mean, again, the offense did show signs of life, and the defense was still bad. And so if that trend continues, I very well could see the over on this for sure. Yeah. So what about your Sooners? How do you think they're going to do?
Well, I'm interested to see how Michael Hawkins Jr. performs. It is Kent State, and I don't want to discount any opponent, but the spread is like 45.5. And typically in that situation, I always take the opponent. I would take Kent State. It's just, against the spread. It's hard to cover 45.5 points, but I think there's a lot that the Sooners will work on tomorrow ahead of the Texas game. The Sooners will also look to minimize injury. And I think they will just try to come out of that game healthy and with a W, and I think they will take that. The other interesting game on the schedule, Tulsa at Memphis, and the interesting part isn't Tulsa, and I wish it were Tulsa, it's Memphis. Memphis is a good team. Memphis has got some grit. I watched the Memphis-Arkansas game, and then I watched them last week against was it South Alabama? No, it was Florida Atlantic. It was the Owls.
FAU.
It was on Howard Schnellenberger Field. But it was a close game until Memphis asserted its will. Memphis, when you talk about a Power 5 team, or I'm sorry, a Group of 5 team that could get into the playoffs, I'm very interested, not necessarily for this game. I think Memphis wins this one going away, but I'm really interested in the Memphis Tigers as a whole.
Well, I mean, and if we look at their forward schedule, they probably don't have a lot of super tough opponents, if that's fair to say, down the road. So if they can continue that pattern of playing so well, absolutely could see them in there. Could see that. So I just looked it up. The spread, I'm being bold here by saying the Cowboys have a chance. The spread is 20.5 to Arizona.
Oh, okay.
And over under is 56.5.
I love the Cowboys in that situation.
100%.
Just against the spread. I absolutely think the Cowboys cover.
100%. And then the over under is 56.5. So
I'd blow that out of the water. I'd take the over.
Yeah, I think so too. I think this is going to be like a 38-35 type of game.
Mm-hmm. Completely agree. And it'll be good weather. It's in Tucson. It'll be hot.
Right.
Speaking of hot, it won't be hot in Toronto when the Yankees come to Rogers Center because the dome will be on. And I will tell you, I've been to Rogers Center. It turns out it's one of my favorite stadiums, but they rarely open the roof. It has to be almost perfect conditions for them to open the roof. But I just say that to segue into our division series. We talked about baseball on the last Bedlam Buds. We got some right. We got some wrong. The Guardians sort of let us down here. But what are you seeing in the second round? You got Detroit, Seattle, New York, Toronto. You've got Chicago, Milwaukee, the Cubs. And then you've got the big series, Dodgers headed to Philadelphia.
Well, I think the Brewers are going to sweep. I really do. I think the Brewers, they've been hot all year. They've been just a consistently good team this year. I think the Brewers, if they don't sweep, it may be one to the Cubs, one at Wrigley. But I think the Brewers are going to easily take that. Yankees, Blue Jays, boy, that's That's going to be a great series. But again, I have to go with the Blue Jays on this one. I think that I think they're positioned better for a deeper run than what the Yankees are right now. The Yankees had a really tough series with Boston, and baseball's a different type of sport. It doesn't necessarily take it out of you, but I think the Blue Jays are going to win that. Uh, let's see here. Then the Dodgers Phillies. I don't know. I
Right.
don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
If I have to make a prediction, I'll just say the Phillies because they're the favorite. But goosh, I don't know. The Dodgers just smoked the Reds, which we called. But man, they did not show a lot of crack in their armor. Gosh, I don't know. What do you think about that one?
So, having in-laws and a wife who are all Dodgers fans, I actually listen to a lot of the games, and I listen to Steven Nelson and Rick Monday. I'm on a kick now, Jerm, where I'm listening to ball games on the radio. I have it on TV, and then I'll say, you know what, I'm turning off the TV. I'm going to listen to the radio. And it's like I've told you about Oklahoma State. I really enjoy listening to the radio call of these games because I am able to have theater of the mind. And as I was listening to both of the games against Cincinnati, yes, the Dodgers won going away, but people who didn't watch those games don't understand the struggle that the Dodgers bullpen had. Everything else was 10 out of 10, no notes, no crumbs left, as the kids say, is really just a perfect team all around. But the bullpen for the Dodgers was pretty scary. And that's where I think Philadelphia has a chance. If I were a betting man, I'm probably not going to bet against the Dodgers in any capacity, but I don't think that Philadelphia is Cincinnati. I do hope, as somebody who really loves Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper, I hope they show up. I hope that the week off isn't something that sort of lets them down mentally, and that Philadelphia, these are best out of 5 series. And so winning the first 2 games at home, if any team is able to do that, it really makes it tough for the other team to get into it, because you win those first 2 games at home, you can get closed out your first game there. When I look at Chicago, Milwaukee, I agree with you. I wasn't that impressed with the Cubs in this series against the Padres, and I wasn't that impressed with the Padres. Will there be a letdown given that they were a week off? They're so fundamentally sound. This is their time. I've also talked about things like destiny. With the death of Bob Uecker earlier this year, you just wonder, is he looking down from above, and is he just going to orchestrate this? Is this going to happen
Well,
for Bob Uecker?
he's sitting on the front row wherever
Right,
he
he's
is.
sitting on the front row. But teams, you got to have something to rally around. People who say that's overrated have just no clue about the power of storytelling, the stories you tell yourself. And so if I'm Milwaukee, I'm wrapping myself around, let's do it for Bob. So I would bet on the Dodgers. I'll be rooting for the Phillies. I
No,
won't
that's
say
fair.
it
That's
too
fair.
loudly around the in-laws, but
I
I
won't
do.
text Christy at all. So
It's, but I won't be rooting against the Dodgers. It's just that I want Schwarber and Harper to get one before they're done there, because it's really put up or shut up time for the Phillies. I think Milwaukee wins that series. I would, earlier, last time we talked, I pulled out my Mariners cap,
right.
and I talked
That's a
about them
great
being
look,
a
man.
team of destiny. But I will tell you, any team with Tarik Skubal, you've got a chance to win the series. And in a 5-game series, he's going to pitch 2 games. You're
Well,
winning those games.
and also for the Phillies have an Oklahoma kid on their roster,
Oh, JT Real
JT
Muto?
Realmuto, who is
Yeah.
related to the John Smith of OSU wrestling fame.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
That's his nephew, and
Yeah.
so so I kind of want the Phillies to win because we have an Oklahoma kid there. I met him once, not a big deal, but because there's an Oklahoma connection to them. I kind of want them to go now.
Well, do you remember Bryce Harper had one of his first big coming out parties, if you will, in Oklahoma as a 19-year-old? It was, I forget whether it was an AAU type situation, but I've had a number of people comment and say, he played ball at Westmore or more. I'm like, well, he didn't go to school there, but yes, there was a tournament there that he was in. So yeah, a lot of local connections. But the Detroit-Seattle series, I do think Seattle wins, but I would say I wouldn't discount Detroit. I think I am higher on Detroit now than I was before. Now that they seem like a team that's got some fight in them in the wins against their pitching was great against
Well,
Cleveland.
but the Guardians pitching just collapsed when they really needed it. They brought a couple of guys in out of the bullpen and just gave it up. So I'm still leaning toward the Mariners on this, but you're exactly right. I could see the Tigers winning, but gun to head, I would have to predict the Mariners on this.
Right. So I'm a little more confident in the Yankees Toronto series. I think the Yankees win it. I'm absolutely rooting for the Toronto Blue Jays. I tend to root for Toronto and anything that they're doing. Love the city. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. But with that said, in fact, I love the Rogers Center. Just love the vibe. If you're going to the Rogers Center for any of these games, get yourself a steak sandwich. It is and delight, one of the best things that I've had at a ballpark, and a Mill Street beer is just wonderful. But this is their first time in the playoffs in a while. I mean, they won the division, and I think there's something to be said for experience. You know, last night against the Red Sox, Schlitter threw that gem for the Yankees, and this is the time of year where experienced teams, inexperienced players on experienced teams start doing amazing things.
Yeah.
And I think the Yankees absolutely have an advantage when it comes to that. And in fact, I think you'll see it tomorrow when the Yankees take game one. Again, it's just a hunch. The Yankees are the daddy of that division. And this is just a situation where they've got the experience, and it feels they ended the season 9-1. They lost that first game to Boston, backs against the wall. They won the next two. It just feels like the juggernaut is being unleashed again.
What? Well, and when these are predictions, you can have stats, you can have facts, you can have notes and information, but predictions are basically from your gut.
Right.
And I mean, and ultimately that's what it comes down to. And if that's where you're leaning, then lean into it.
Yeah, which in that case, I mean, I think you could see a Yankees Tigers, ALCS, Yankees Mariners, but I think it's going to be Milwaukee for sure, and I think it's going to be man, I would probably bet on the Dodgers.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Gun to head, as you said. Yeah. They are as outside of two off performances from their bullpen, they are as murderers row as we've ever seen, with a wonderful pitching staff. Not only do you have Yamamoto and Ohtani, who's going to pitch game one against Philadelphia, which is that's a bold move. And I say it's a bold move because it's like you don't want him to get hurt on the mound, or there has been some evidence in the past that he doesn't do as well at bat when he's focused on the mound like that. But you also have Snell and Glasnow, and then Roki Sasaki, who came in and got a little experience in relief against Cincinnati just the other day, and that guy's throwing over 100 every time.
Well, again, you're exactly right that their pitching staff overall has shown just incredible depth. That's why I don't think throwing Ohtani at this first game is really that big of a risk, because if he starts out slow, you can pull it, because you have a whole bunch of arms behind him. Plus, that could possibly save him for another game down the road. So I think it's actually a pretty good move. It's bold, but I think it's a pretty good move because, game one is the game. I mean, if you get that game one, clearly the rest of the series, you're on the front foot. Now,
You bet.
Oklahoma City
100%.
Thunder notwithstanding.
Right, 100%. Jeremy, Jerm,
Yes,
Bedlam
sir.
Buds, we talk about sports. We'll do this after the games this weekend and talk about all things Cowboys, Sooners, Golden Hurricane, you name it. Until next time, Jeremy, have a great weekend, man.
You as well. See you later.
Thanks.